What's up, bros? It's day 3 of New York Comic Con. I'm here with Rob Markman. What's up, my man?
What's good, man? Chilling, man.
So, I saw your stream. I found out through my socials that your name came up. And I'm like, at first I was like, hey, look at this cool guy. You got this nice little background, some cool comic book and stuff like that. I'm not a hip-hop guy, so I didn't know who you were.
Right.
And then I see DJ Links comes up and like, you know who that is? And I saw, I'm like, okay, cool. But talk to me a little bit because you and I are very similar in nature, but we both grew up in New York City. You from Brooklyn, I'm from the Bronx.
Word.
You got the right hat on. That's the good news.
Of course.
Tell me a little bit about your history as a comic book guy.
I grew up around comic books. You know, my older brother always used to have comic books around the house. He was a graffiti writer growing up, so he was always into art, drawing. So he used to have Iron Mans around. I remember Iron Man being this thing. I remember seeing a lot of Iron Man comics. Then my mom was also the one who babysitted all the kids in the neighborhood. And one of the kids that she babysitted, the mom worked at DC. So every other Friday, she would bring a manila envelope full of DC comics for me and my little brother. So a lot of Blue Beetle, a lot of Booster Gold back then. This is like in the 80s. I remember having The Killing Joke. But as a kid, I didn't know what it was.
In a bag? Like that?
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. Destroyed the book. But then, yeah, absolutely. But then I'm growing up, and my best friend Damian Scott, who's a renowned comic book artist now, he's actually doing the signing over there. We just were in the comics. We worked in the comic store together at Brain Damage Comics in Brooklyn, and we were just building our PCs, man. We were just into, Spider-Man, X-Men, just all the stuff that was hot in the 90s, man. So I've been collecting I've been in the comics since I was like 6, 7, 8 years old. Comics had always been my life. I started collecting when I was about 9, 10, 11, and onward.
Yeah, same thing with me. When I started collecting was roughly around 86, 87. It was a friend of my sister's boyfriend, but he would always come up to the place and he would bring up these comics. And there was one comic that stood out. It was a Captain America comic. And it was Captain America and the new Bucky. Okay. And I don't know if you remember the big brother, right?
Yeah.
He was like, Bucky. And I didn't know Bucky like that, though. But I was like, this is pretty cool, right? So I got into that, and then I went to the comic book shop, the newsstand, down the block. Not the comic book shop, it was the newsstand, literal newsstand. That as you remember. Remember when you had to get the comics, you had to go through the nudie books in the newsstand to finally get to the comics?
Absolutely.
Never understood that now.
Right, absolutely.
Same thing with the bodegas, with the beer comes first, right? But
you got to put the top sellers in the front.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And I didn't get it. I was like, why is always the beer comes first? Right. But I ended up picking up a Marvel Tales comics with Spider-Man, Thor, with Havoc. But the second book I picked up, Incredible Hulk 340.
Nice.
That was my number 2.
That's an amazing number 2 book to have.
Right, exactly.
Atomic Falling classic.
And that book was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
But just like you, and I saw it in your video, one of the things I caught was Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And Infinity Gauntlet, when I was collecting comics, I was just like a little kid collecting comics.
Yeah.
And, maybe I was more like it was fun hobby at that time.
Yeah.
It wasn't until Infinity Gauntlet that it actually became, I'm collecting.
Right.
So, and I think you had a similar experience with that.
Yeah, for me, first of all, I love Infinity Gauntlet. I think Infinity Gauntlet is one of my favorite storylines. For me, it became real and it was fun and I was collecting comics was the relaunch to Spider-Man #1 to Tom McFarlane. That first Torment series was the first time in comics as a kid reading it that I was actually worried for Peter Parker. I thought Peter Parker might die. It felt like the comics had like real consequence. Like Tom McFarlane wrote and drew that story and drew Peter Parker through the ringer, through Spider-Man through the ringer. And each issue got more brutal than the last. And I remember just like finishing issue 1 and it's like, I can't wait for issue 2. Finishing issue 2, I can't wait for issue 3. That's when it got real. That's when I was like, this is kind of dark. It's kind of messed up. And I
had a similar experience, but it was with 316.
Okay.
So when 316 comes up in Venom, and it's like, if you guys never read 316, I know it's one of the most popular covers in the world. Read the stuff inside. But Venom did to Black Cat in that book is like,
I don't know if you can get away with that.
Oh, no, he messed her up good.
Yeah.
And same thing, it was like one of those things like, can they, like, how the hell is he going to get past this thing that, Spidey says doesn't work?
Right.
And this guy knows all his secrets.
Right.
And then Mary Jane is at home like, oh no, I don't feel safe right now.
Right. Yeah.
So it was a good time for it to get into comics. You know, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee, Tom, Eric Larson, all these guys, and then they jumped ship to Image.
Yeah.
It was a great time for us.
Yeah.
You know, it was something that was like new. It started something, and then of course afterwards you get Death for Superman.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was an amazing time, and what those guys at Image did. You know, I'm comics is my passion, my love. I love music too. I'm very more renowned in the music world, I would say, right, as a journalist, and I also run a distribution company, and I sign artists and things of that nature. I'm very much into artist rights, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I mentioned that in this conversation is because as a kid, when all of the top Marvel guys defected and went to Image, it really, for the first time, made me think about the artists who make these books that we love, and what they go through and the business dealings and stuff like that. So Image, like in music, artist rights are very important to me. Artist rights across the board are very important to me. But Image was the first time, and at a very young age, 1992, I'm 12 years old, that I'm like, oh, like we got to also fight for creator rights as well.
It's funny you say that because it's like a precursor to what would happen with the creator rights, right?
Yeah.
With artists in general, hip hop, rock, all of it, right? I diverted, right? Yeah, everybody's hip hop and I'm fighting, but somehow I went to a rock world.
Right.
I got into Nirvana and things like that.
Listen, man, we love Nirvana, man. It goes to that. Nirvana, Metallica, that's
before that, I was really into the freestyle scene of '87.
Oh, come on, man. Stevie B, Spring Love, George Lamont,
Sensation,
TKA. Come on, man.
Lisa, all that stuff. So it was really cool how it is, and I progressed from the dance scene, and then somewhere morphed into the rock scene. 9 Inch Nails was my thing. That was my jam. 9 Inch Nails, and then more the industrial sound, where you got the marriage of not hip hop. That's later. The marriage of rock and really dance music, techno music. That was my thing. But in the hip hop world, it was crazy, you know, Biggie, Nas, even before that with like Slick Rick and those guys.
Yeah.
It was an awesome time, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, you got to see my man, and we had the Bulletproof booth. He's actually doing the signing. Y'all can't see it. Or my man, Damian Scott. I'm looking, you can't see it, but he has an awesome Biggie print over there. Like, just to say, even that the comic book artists, man, were Damien, I know for a fact, I was there when he was drawing and teaching himself illustration and really working at it. And we're listening to Biggie Ready to Die. We're listening to Nas Illmatic. We're listening to Snoop Dogg Doggy Style. So, you know what I mean? Like just to see the merge now. And yesterday I spoke on a panel with Charlemagne the God, who's putting out his own comic called The Illuminati with Dennis Cowan and Bride Edward Hill writing. Yeah. Dennis Cowan, another pioneer. So, but, you know, when we just see the merging, and, you know, we were speaking with Axel Alonso on the panel, who helped give us the hip hop variant covers and stuff like that. So it's great to see my two loves, the two things that I love the most, really merging together.
It's awesome. Well, guys, we know, I'm sure they know where to find you in the music industry, but go check out the YouTube comic channel.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's called Markman Comics. First of all, you can find me on all social media platforms at Rob Markman. All right. But specifically on YouTube, it's my brand new channel. I made a whole separate channel just for comics. I wanted a place that we could talk very freely. We love the music too. If you're into music, you can come. But I wanted a place just dedicated to comics, and I'm working equally hard at both. So please come to Markman Comics, subscribe. I try to answer all that. I try to answer every comment, man. I try to really have conversations and build community with y'all. So I look forward for y'all coming to rock with me. You know what I mean? And thank you, Izzy.
Thank you, bro. You don't know how hard it was to find this guy. I was in one spot, he was in another spot. It was
and then we just bumped right into each other.
I'm literally telling David, where's Rob? And he's like, oh, Rob, right there.
Yeah.
But guys, check it out. We love you. We'll see you around. It's fun.
Peace.
Later.